Hey everybody out there, this is Seto, and today for you guys I actually want to do a topic and discuss about something that does not get talked about too much, but it's pretty much talking about competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Versus casual Yu-Gi-Oh! And I don't want to say versus really, but I want to compare and contrast the two from my experience, because I've played competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Before for a long period of time. I do not play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Anymore. I joke, I kind of semi-retired from that for the most part because it takes up a lot of your time to do some of that nature, and I enjoy more in it from the casual side of things in Yu-Gi-Oh! And I feel like for a long period of Yu-Gi-Oh!'s history, to some degree, in Yu-Gi-Oh! Circles, it was the connotation casual had a negative stigma attached to it to some degree, which is very interesting. But I feel like that was the case. One thing I've learned over the last year and a half on YouTube is that a lot of Yu-Gi-Oh! Content that was created by a lot, not by me as much, but I would say, but by a lot of YouTubers out there, was competitive content when it came to Yu-Gi-Oh! And when the pretty much Crush card hit, there was no more competitive events per se, so people had to try to find different ways of making content, and they found that they actually got better results by doing casual content, because a good majority of the player base out there, I feel like, and this has been away for a while, especially as the player base gets older, as yes, there are newer players coming into the game, I think constantly, maybe not as much as there were in 2002, but there's a lot more of a bigger casual base of Yu-Gi-Oh! Than there is a competitive base of Yu-Gi-Oh! It is there, but it's more of a niche community to some degree, I feel like, instead of looking at the huge picture of Yu-Gi-Oh! As a whole. So to compare or contrast the two, one of the things I've always found about being a casual Yu-Gi-Oh! Player compared to a competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Player is it hurts less on your wallet. Now, you may look at my deck profiles and be like, Seto, you know, you're saying that, but then I see you play Zeus, and I see you have Magician Souls, and I see you have this and that, and, you know, a lot of your decks are hollowed out, like, how about da. You have to understand a couple things about that, and this comes from being a casual player. If I played strictly competitive Yu-Gi-Oh!, I wouldn't be able to make the deck profiles I'm able to make. I would not have all this content I could continuously pump out by doing deck profiles, because the thing is, Yu-Gi-Oh! When it comes to competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Is competitive because there are certain cards you need to pick up to play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Being a casual player, I can pick up whatever I want, and I can wait for the reprint. Just saying. Now, I'm very particular about what cards I decide to pick up and what I don't, because of certain decks and how useful I think said card will be in a multitude and plethora of deck profiles for a year or so before a reprint it's on the chopping block for a reprint. So when it comes to that, I usually try to think ahead of time when I'm investing in my Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards for deck profiles, etc. So that's the thing about being a casual Yu-Gi-Oh! Like, literally, I don't spend half as much of cards on there, and if I do, it's because I spend it because I want to spend it. I'm not forced to spend it as much because I have to buy this card because I want to be a competitive player. This is something that's been going on. For example, if I want to play competitive Yu-Gi-Oh!, I gotta pick up Tactics Talents, okay? I gotta pick up Droplets, okay? I gotta pick up Zeus if I'm playing a certain, Exceed-based strategy of any sort, okay? Then I gotta pick up this card and that card. And if I don't already have those cards, it's a lot harder. We've seen these sealed-only challenges that have been going on for the last year or so. Yeah, can you imagine trying to do that just with sealed only, and just how expensive those cards are, even if they're not sealed? And I'm not talking about, Starlight Rare, etc. I'm just talking about regular basic rare until a reprint happens. You need this card, you need Tactics Talents, you need this card and that card. It adds up very quickly to the point where just for maybe 10 cards in total, which are going to be part of your main and side deck, you're already over $1,000 or $800, which is ridiculous. Well, what can I do with that $800 if I'm a casual player? I can build a plethora of probably 10, 15 decks. That's what I mean. Okay, so I spend one money on one competitive deck that lasts a year, maybe. Maybe you're Burning Abyss, or maybe you are Sky Striker, and you last 2 years or more. If you're not those outliers, then usually I'm investing in an $800 deck for a year. Compared to if I pick up the $800 for casual decks that will get legacy support, which will have constant buyouts and pike spices because of said legacy support. That longevity sounds a lot better. Do you know how much I've spent on Blue Eyes White Dragon probably over the course of the time I picked up that deck? Probably $100. And mainly that was with the new Blue Eyes support that came out when the Shining Victories came out. Probably 150 tops I've really spent on Blue Eyes support. And that's because you look at that and the compounding effect of over years. I picked it up for cheap. It's quadrupled. Like, it's a lot of my decks are like that. Like, I was looking at the deck profile I'm working on for soon coming out, my Gravekeeper deck. I have hollow recruiters. I did not know recruiters were going for that much now. I didn't know that half that deck had just like quadrupled in price when I picked it up in was it Yugi's World like 5-6 years ago. It's ridiculous. So what I'm trying to say here, guys, is sometimes the short-term success of competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Is different than the long-term success that you get from buying decks and putting your money in casual Yu-Gi-Oh! And this is something I've learned over time. I didn't know this when I started getting out of the competitive scene more so, but I've learned as time goes on and working at a card shop that seems to be the case. The second thing I'll mention is with casual when it comes to competitive is the time investment. When it comes to competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! You gotta constantly test because the competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Game constantly changes. Casual Yu-Gi-Oh! Changes too, that's for sure. Every main set or side set that comes out, your deck, you gotta update it, etc. With some of them. But that you don't have to focus as much time on Yu-Gi-Oh! You can place more time instead of playing competitive Yu-Gi-Oh! Trying to perfect your deck for a certain tournament and then you don't do good. With casual Yu-Gi-Oh! I can pretty much pick up any deck I want. I can test it a couple times. Okay, I'm gonna go have fun. And that's the awesome thing. And I'm not saying pros and cons to both, but I'm just pointing to things that I've learned personally over time. It hurt time manage. I get more time to play Yu-Gi-Oh! Instead of testing for Yu-Gi-Oh! Money. That's another thing. The other thing too, which is more fun, is I find personally as I've gotten older, casual Yu-Gi-Oh! Is more fun. And this is something you can't really measure, how much money you save or time. In a way, it's more enjoyable because you're just enjoying playing Yu-Gi-Oh! And even if you lose, you usually have fun with it because it's a crazy duel. And for me, being a former competitive player, I want to build my decks the best way possible. I want to put my best foot forward when building said deck, right? I want to play the decks that I want to play. I don't want to have to put money in or play the guessing game of, is this deck going to be competitive or is that deck going to be competitive? And, is that deck competitive now or 2 weeks from now or it's not competitive? Playing this guessing game, it feels like sometimes. We're just like, your deck goes in and out of, being competitive or not. That's why I made this mindset ages ago. If there's a deck that comes out that I want to play it, I'm going to play it. And I'm not going to sell the deck. And I started doing this back in 2000, probably 13, 12, something like that. A long time ago, like almost a decade ago now. And I started doing that, and I have found, personally, by doing so, I've made actually more money than when I initially brought the deck. My Sky Striker deck, perfect example. I built the deck, played the deck. When the deck got hit a lot, I picked up a lot of the cards, all of the ultimate rares, things of that nature, because I was like, I love this deck, I'm going to keep this deck. And a lot of those ultimate rares have gone up in price. That's happened a lot for a lot of decks, guys, over the years, where I just don't sell the deck. I bling it out because nobody's playing it because the deck was hit. They're trying to sell it off, make a profit. I build up the deck, deck gets new support, deck gets stuff off the ban list, price spikes. Look, I got my money back, and I got a nice blingy deck at that, which was a low budget thing. That's why I always tell people, if you're trying to build a competitive deck, and you actually genuinely like the deck, but you don't want to spend the money on it currently, wait till it gets hit, then pick it up. And then when the stuff starts coming off the list in a year or two, you're going to make more money back. Because people are going to try to re-pick up those cards. And by that time, it's becoming a nostalgic deck, usually. I mean, look at Necros. Look at a lot of these older decks, guys. They've gone up in price a lot, and it's not fluctuating as much. They continuously go up, and there's a product versus supply versus demand. It's kind of interesting, actually, when you look at it. But comparing casual and competitive, it's really fun. It's more enjoyable, I feel like, overall. Less time consuming, more money, a lot more, and I feel like there's different types of casual. There's, you're just playing whatever you want to. You're playing your random decks, like you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! On a budget, That's no problem at all, but, some people need a budget for Yu-Gi-Oh! Then you have your casual competitive, which is more of me. I'm in the middle because, I played competitive. I don't play as much as anymore, but I want to build the best version of my deck that I can. And then you have your competitive players. I think a majority of players nowadays, they fall into that middle range, where they have that competitive spirit in them to want to do good, but they also want to play whatever deck they want. And that's how I can relate to a lot of people, because I've had my foot in both doors. There are days where I just will be like, okay, I'm going to pick a 10. I don't do this as much anymore, but I used to do this a lot when I was in college. I would get a 10 of Yu-Gi-Oh! Cards, and I just build a deck out of it. Now, back then, this is back during the time, guys, of like when I was a freshman, so we're talking like in high school and everything. So we're talking the early 2000s, late 2000s, early 2010s when I did that. But that was some fun times. You just pick up a deck, go to locals, and they're like, Volse Raider! Well, I'm like, yeah, 19 attack. I got it out of my common box and my Yu-Gi-Oh! Tins. So, like, there's some fun you can have in Yu-Gi-Oh! When you play more casual. But, again, competitive is awesome, too. I'm not going to discount it because, people want to be the best. And whatever you want to do, do it. Enjoy this game for what it is. But remember that there is a life outside this game. It's not everything. And that you are going to want to spend time as you get older on other things in your life. And so, while I make this a compare and contrast to casual and competitive, I'm also stating the life fact. You do get older, and you do want to do other things with your time in life. So try to find a nice balance. I was blessed enough to have the foresight when I made this channel years ago to do it because I didn't want the money I was going to be making from it, etc. I wanted to do it because I loved Yu-Gi-Oh! There's a very slim chance that this channel could have become a Pokemon channel. I'm going to be honest, because I love Pokemon just as much as I love Yu-Gi-Oh! And if I had done that, it would have been probably a different thing altogether, but it became a Yu-Gi-Oh! Channel. And because of that, instead of being a Pokemon channel, people don't know that. But yeah, there is a Pokemon channel out there. But I'm not going to tell you what it is. There's almost no. I deleted all the videos ages ago, but there was a channel out there that I was going to do, and this one I enjoyed doing Yu-Gi-Oh! Content more than I did Pokemon. But I'm not going to say I don't have all my Pokemon stuff over here. Building I'm building a master Pokemon decks. I've been doing it for the last year and a half. But pretty much what I'm trying to say is, guys, having the foresight doing this channel, I was able to make the money back. And put it into Yu-Gi-Oh! And spend the money I make from my job, etc. on other things to help and give back to people, because I'm all about helping and giving back to people. But I couldn't have done that if I didn't have the foresight to switch from being a more competitive player to a more casual player. And just keep your long-term goals in mind, guys, when you're playing Yu-Gi-Oh! What do you want to do? Are you playing this for fun? Or are you trying to play this because of accolades? Which, it's Yu-Gi-Oh! Guys. You can't put it on your resume that you topped a YCS. I doubt anybody's going to care about that. Just saying. Even if you are Seto Kaiba. Well, guys, I know this we went from a competitive / casual talk to more about a life talk there. Took a left turn at Albuquerque. But hopefully that you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, please give a big thumbs up. And this was kind of off the cuff. I just wanted to make it because I was doing some deck profiles, getting them ready. And until next time, guys, take care. Have fun dueling. Good luck dueling to all of you. And I'll see all of you next time. Take care, everybody.